11 tricks hiding in plain sight, used by Mazda owners whose cars hit 200,000 miles running like they just left the showroom. None cost much. None require a mechanic. Trick number 3, you have had the ability since day 1 and nobody told you. Trick number 11, it works silently, every single drive. Owners who know it are watching their engines outlast everything around them. Today everyone comes into the open. Stick around, let's blow this open. Number 11, the one fluid check there is a fluid sitting inside your Mazda right now that most owners check approximately never. It is not the one your dealer reminds you about at every service visit. It does not have a warning light dedicated to it, and when it degrades past the point of doing its job, it does not announce itself with a noise or a smell or a dashboard alert. It just quietly allows damage to accumulate in one of the most expensive systems on your entire vehicle. That fluid is your brake fluid. Brake fluid is hygroscopic, meaning it absorbs moisture from the surrounding air continuously throughout its service life. Every time the system is exposed to atmospheric air, through the reservoir cap, through microscopic permeation in the rubber hoses, moisture enters the fluid and begins lowering its boiling point. Fresh brake fluid has a dry boiling point above 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Brake fluid that has absorbed just 3% moisture by volume has a wet boiling point that drops to roughly 290 degrees Fahrenheit. In normal suburban driving, that difference is invisible. You brake, the car stops, nothing feels different. But on a long mountain descent in Colorado, in heavy traffic braking repeatedly on an Atlanta interstate in July, or in any scenario where the brakes are working hard repeatedly over a short time, that degraded fluid reaches its reduced boiling point inside the caliper. It vaporizes. Vapor is compressible. Fluid is not. The pedal drops toward the floor. Braking power disappears. This is called brake fade, and it happens without warning when degraded fluid is present. Mazda recommends brake fluid replacement every 2 years regardless of mileage. Most American Mazda owners have never replaced theirs at all. A brake fluid flush costs between $60 and $100 at an independent shop. It takes 20 minutes. The trick is simple. Every 2 years. Every time, no exceptions. Set a reminder in your phone right now for 2 years from today. Your braking system will perform exactly as Mazda engineered it to at every speed, in every condition, for the lifetime of the vehicle. Number 10 involves a trick that costs absolutely nothing and takes 4 seconds, but it is the single most powerful thing you can do to protect your engine at its most vulnerable moment every single day. Number 10. The 4-second rule every morning. In driveways and parking garages from Seattle to Miami, American Mazda owners start their cars and immediately select drive within 2 to 3 seconds of the engine firing. It feels normal. It feels efficient. It is quietly destroying the most expensive single component in the vehicle. Here is what is happening inside the engine in those first few seconds that most drivers never consider. When your Mazda has been sitting overnight, the oil that normally coats every bearing surface, every camshaft lobe, every cylinder wall, has drained down into the oil pan. The engine starts dry. Not completely dry. There is a thin residual film on most surfaces, but full pressure lubrication takes between 3 and 5 seconds to reach every critical surface after startup. During that window, every moving metal part inside your engine is operating with reduced lubrication. The main bearings, the camshaft journals, the valve train, all of them move against each other on a film that is thinner than designed. This is called boundary lubrication, and it is responsible for a disproportionate share of total engine wear across a vehicle's lifetime. Studies on engine wear distribution consistently show that cold start wear accounts for more cumulative damage than all highway miles combined. The 4-second trick is this. After the engine fires, count to 4 before selecting drive. That is the entire protocol. 4 seconds allows the oil pump to build full pressure and begin delivering properly pressurized oil to every surface in the engine. You are not warming the engine up fully. You are not idling for 10 minutes. You are giving the oil pump 4 seconds to do the one job that matters most. 4 seconds of patience at every cold start across 100,000 miles of driving is the single highest return protective habit available to any Mazda owner. The engineers designed the lubrication system to protect the engine once oil pressure is established. All you have to do is give it 4 seconds to get there. The cold start is the most dangerous moment for your engine. Number 9 reveals a trick that protects the second most vulnerable moment, and most American Mazda owners are doing the exact opposite of what they should during it. Number 9. The highway warm-up trick most American Mazda owners understand at least loosely that cold starts are hard on engines. What almost nobody understands is that the window of elevated engine wear does not end when the oil pressure light goes out. It does not end when the car feels warm. It does not end when the heater starts blowing hot air. It ends when the coolant temperature gauge reaches its normal operating position, and not a single mile before. Until that gauge reaches its centered position, the engine is running in a state that Mazda's own SkyActiv engineering documentation describes as outside normal operating parameters. The combustion temperatures are lower than designed. The fuel trims are richer than optimal. The variable valve timing system is operating in a restricted range to protect components that are not yet at full operating temperature. Every system in the engine is in a protective reduced performance state. The mistake that shortens Mazda engines across America is highway on-ramp acceleration during this warm-up window. Drivers start the car, pull out of the driveway, reach the highway on-ramp within 90 seconds, and floor it to merge at highway speed. The engine, still cold, still in its protective warm-up state, is asked to produce maximum power output through a full throttle acceleration event before the coolant temperature gauge has moved a single degree towards center. The trick is this: for the first 5 to 7 minutes of every drive, keep throttle input below 50%. No full throttle acceleration, no aggressive on-ramp merges, no hard passing maneuvers. Let the engine do what its engineering requires, which is warming up gradually under light load before being asked to perform. Once the temperature gauge reaches its normal operating position, the engine is fully ready. Drive it however you want. Use every bit of power Mazda built into it. The Skyactiv engine is designed to be driven enthusiastically. It just needs 5 minutes first, every single time. This trick requires no tools, no money, and no mechanical knowledge. Just 5 minutes of light throttle. Number 8 is a trick that most Mazda owners have never heard of, but every long mileage Mazda driver who hits 200,000 miles knows it by heart. Number 8. The transmission fluid trick here is something most American Mazda owners have never been told. Mazda's official maintenance schedule, the one printed in your owner's manual, lists automatic transmission fluid as a lifetime fill on many models. The implication is that the fluid never needs to be changed. The dealers reinforce this. It saves them a service appointment they cannot upsell, and it is one of the most damaging pieces of maintenance advice ever given to a Mazda owner. Transmission fluid does not last a lifetime. The friction modifiers inside automatic transmission fluid, the additives that allow clutch packs to engage smoothly and consistently, break down under heat and mechanical stress over time. In a Mazda Skyactiv drive transmission, which operates at higher internal pressures and temperatures than most conventional automatic transmissions, that fluid degradation happens faster than the lifetime fill designation suggests. What degraded transmission fluid does to a Mazda is specific and consistent. The friction modifiers deplete. Clutch pack engagement becomes less controlled. The transmission begins to hunt between gears at light throttle, a hesitation or shudder that most owners attribute to a transmission problem requiring expensive repair. In the majority of documented cases, a fresh fluid service resolves the shudder entirely because the shudder was never a mechanical failure. It was a fluid condition failure. The trick that long mileage Mazda owners use is this: change the automatic transmission fluid every 45,000 miles using only Mazda approved transmission fluid, regardless of what the maintenance schedule says. Not a transmission flush with a machine. A drain and fill, which replaces approximately half the fluid volume at a time, is gentler on a high mileage transmission and preferred by Mazda technicians for vehicles over 60,000 miles. This service costs between $100 and $150 at an independent shop. It prevents transmission shudder, extends clutch pack life, and keeps the Skyactiv drive operating exactly as designed across the full life of the vehicle. Number 7 is a trick that works while your Mazda is parked in your driveway and costs nothing to implement starting today. Number 7. The tire pressure. If you subscribe right now and hit the notification bell, you will not miss a single video on this channel. Every week this channel publishes the engineering information your dealer profits from keeping you without. No sponsorships, no products to sell, just the data. Now here is a trick that most Mazda owners think they already know and almost none of them are actually doing correctly. Tire pressure is not just about tire wear. Mazda engineers who calibrated the suspension geometry, steering response, and braking performance of every Skyactiv platform did so at a specific tire pressure printed on the door jamb sticker, not the maximum pressure printed on the tire sidewall. Those are two different numbers, and the difference between them changes how your Mazda handles, brakes, and wears its suspension components. Running 10% over the door jamb specification hardens the tire's contact patch, reducing grip in emergency braking and reducing lateral traction in evasive maneuvers. It also transmits more road shock directly into the suspension bushings and wheel bearings, accelerating wear on components that cost hundreds of dollars to replace. Running 10% under the specification does the opposite. It generates heat in the tire carcass during highway driving, accelerates wear on the outer tread edges, and increases rolling resistance in a way that reduces fuel economy measurably. The trick is temperature compensation. Tire pressure changes approximately 1 psi for every 10 degrees Fahrenheit of temperature change. A Mazda correctly inflated at 68 degrees Fahrenheit in a garage in October will read approximately 4 psi low by January in Minnesota. Owners who set pressure in summer and never check it again are driving on significantly underinflated tires all winter, stressing the sidewalls, generating excess heat, and wearing the suspension components that keep the car tracking straight. Check tire pressure every time the temperature drops more than 20 degrees from when you last checked. Use the door jamb specification, not the sidewall. The 2 minutes this takes every few weeks protects tires, suspension components, wheel bearings, and the fuel economy your Mazda was designed to deliver. Number 6 is a trick that goes inside the engine and protects a component that most American Mazda owners have never even heard named. Number 6. The intake valve trick direct fuel injection changed everything about how modern engines make power and efficiency. It is central to what makes Mazda's Skyactiv engines perform the way they do. It is also responsible for a problem that builds silently inside every direct injected engine ever built, including every Skyactiv engine on American roads right now. And that problem has a specific trick that prevents it entirely. In older port-injected engines, fuel was sprayed into the intake manifold before the intake valve. That fuel spray constantly bathed the back of the intake valve, washing away any carbon deposits that accumulated from blowy gases and oil vapor circulating through the positive crankcase ventilation system. In a direct injected Skyactiv engine, fuel is injected directly into the combustion chamber. The back of the intake valve never sees fuel. It only sees blowy gases and oil vapor, and those leave carbon deposits on every surface they touch. Over time, those carbon deposits build on the back of the intake valves and restrict airflow into the combustion chamber. At 50,000 miles, the deposits are minor. At 80,000 miles, they begin affecting combustion efficiency. At 100,000 miles or beyond, the restriction is significant enough to cause rough idle, reduced throttle response, and fuel economy numbers that no longer match the window sticker. The trick is walnut shell blasting, a service performed by any competent independent shop that uses high-pressure walnut shell media to blast the carbon deposits off the intake valve, stems, and ports without damaging the valve surfaces. On a Skyactiv engine, this service typically costs between $250 and $400 and takes about 2 hours. The long mileage Mazda trick is scheduling this service at 60,000 miles and every 40,000 miles thereafter. Owners who do it report restored idle smoothness, recovered throttle response, and fuel economy returning to original specification. Owners who never do it wonder why their 100,000 Tesla Mazda feels sluggish compared to how it felt at 50,000. Now they know why. Number 5 involves something you do every time you fill up, and doing it wrong is accelerating engine wear one tank at a time. Number 5. The fuel grade trick. Walk into any American gas station and you will find 3 grades of fuel at the pump. Regular at 87 octane, mid-grade at 89, premium at 91 or 93. Most American Mazda owners, particularly those driving the standard naturally aspirated Skyactiv G engine, pump regular 87 without giving it a second thought because the owner's manual says 87 octane is the minimum specification. Minimum, not optimal. Here is what octane actually controls inside a Skyactiv engine. Octane rating measures a fuel's resistance to detonation, the uncontrolled ignition of the air-fuel mixture before the spark plug fires. Skyactiv G engines run an extremely high compression ratio by design, higher than almost any other naturally aspirated gasoline engine in production. That high compression is the source of Skyactiv's efficiency advantage. It is also what makes octane selection particularly consequential. When a Skyactiv engine detects detonation from low-octane fuel, the knock sensor triggers a retard in ignition timing to protect the engine. That timing retard reduces combustion efficiency, reduces power output, and increases combustion temperature slightly. The engine does not fail. It protects itself, but it does so by operating at reduced efficiency, generating slightly more heat and working harder than it needs to. The trick that long-mileage Mazda owners use is running 91 octane premium fuel, not because the engine requires it, because the engine runs cooler, cleaner, and more efficiently on it. The combustion stays within tighter parameters. The knock sensor does not need to intervene. The engine operates exactly as the compression ratio was designed to operate without any protective compromises. The fuel cost difference between regular and premium on a 30-gallon fill is approximately $3 to $4 at current American prices. For an engine designed to run 200,000 miles, the combustion quality benefit of that $4 investment every fill compounds across hundreds of thousands of miles of operation. Number 4 is a trick involving a component that sits on the outside of your engine and communicates something specific about internal conditions that most owners never think to read. Number 4. The coolant color trick. Your Mazda's coolant reservoir is translucent. That is not an accident. Mazda engineers made it translucent so that owners can visually inspect the coolant condition without opening anything, without using any tools, and without draining a single drop of fluid. It is one of the most accessible diagnostic windows on the entire vehicle. Almost nobody uses it. Fresh Mazda coolant is a specific color. On most American market Mazdas, it is an orange-red color specific to the Mazda FL22 Long Life coolant. Formulation. That color is not just branding. It is a visual indicator of the organic acid technology inhibitor package inside the coolant, the additive system that protects the aluminum components in your Skyactiv engine's cooling system from corrosion. As coolant ages and the inhibitor package depletes, the color changes. Healthy coolant is clear and bright. Coolant with a depleted inhibitor package becomes dull, brownish, or murky. Coolant that has been contaminated by combustion gases, which can enter the cooling system through a developing head gasket leak, develops a milky or foamy appearance. Each of those visual changes is telling you something specific about the condition of the cooling system. The trick is looking at that reservoir every single time you open the hood, not just checking the level, looking at the color and clarity of the fluid itself. A 30-second visual inspection every oil change interval can catch inhibitor depletion before corrosion damages the water pump, the thermostat housing, or the heater core. It can catch the early signs of a head gasket issue before that issue becomes a $2,000 repair. Mazda's FL22 coolant has a designed service life of approximately 120,000 miles under normal conditions. Owners who check the color regularly catch depletion before it causes corrosion. Owners who never look discover it when the water pump fails or the cooling system develops a leak. Number 3 is the trick that the 1% of Mazda owners who hit 200,000 miles all share, and most people will not believe how straightforward it actually is. Number 3. The spark plug trick spark plugs are considered a basic maintenance item. They are listed in every maintenance schedule. They are sold at every auto parts store in America, and they are, statistically, one of the most frequently neglected service items on Mazdas across the United States, particularly on the iridium-tipped plugs fitted to Skyactiv engines, which have a longer service interval than older copper-tipped plugs and, therefore, get skipped even longer. Mazda specifies iridium spark plug replacement at approximately 60,000 miles on most Skyactiv G engines. The iridium tip wears gradually over that interval. The electrode gap, which begins at a precise specification, widens incrementally as the tip erodes. As the gap widens, the ignition system requires higher voltage to jump it. The coil works harder. Ignition timing precision degrades slightly. Combustion becomes marginally less complete. None of this is dramatic at any individual point. You do not feel the moment the plugs hit 50,000 miles and begin to need replacement. What you feel is cumulative. The car that once felt crisp on throttle response begins to feel slightly soft. The fuel economy that once matched the EPA estimate begins running a few percent short. The idle that was smooth at 30,000 miles has a slight roughness at 70,000 miles that was not there before. Owners attribute these changes to the engine aging. The actual cause is electrodes that cost $45 to replace at any auto parts store. The trick that long mileage Mazda owners use is replacing spark plugs at 50,000 miles instead of 60,000, not because Mazda says to. Because getting ahead of the degradation curve means the ignition system is always operating within the tight tolerances Skyactiv combustion requires. Fresh plugs at 50,000 miles restore the exact combustion precision the engine had at 10,000 miles. The difference in throttle response and fuel economy is immediate and noticeable every single time. $45 in parts. 30 minutes with a socket wrench, the most cost-effective performance restoration available to any Mazda owner. Number 2 is a trick involving ozzing your Mazda's body, not its engine, and it is the one that most people overlook entirely until the damage is already irreversible. Number 2, the underbody trick rust does not start on the parts of your Mazda you can see. It starts underneath, in the wheel wells, on the subframe, along the floor pan seams, in every crevice that holds road salt, moisture, and debris against bare metal for months at a time during American winters. By the time rust is visible on a panel you can see from outside, it has typically been progressing from underneath for 2 to 3 years. What you are seeing is the end of a process that started long before you noticed anything. The trick is a rubberized undercoating applied before the first winter season and reapplied every 2 to 3 years. Not the spray-on rust-proofing dealers sell at delivery for several $100s. That product is largely cosmetic. The product that works is applied by a shop that first pressure washes the entire underbody, then applies coating into every seam, fold, and cavity. In the Rust Belt states, Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania, New York, Wisconsin, Minnesota, this single trick separates Mazdas that are structurally sound at 150,000 miles from Mazdas that develop subframe rot, suspension mounting points that fail inspection at 80,000 miles. The service costs between $150 and $250 from a reputable shop. Number 1 is the trick that ties every other item on this list together, and once you understand it, your entire approach to Mazda ownership changes permanently. Number 1. The ownership mindset trick. There is a pattern that appears without exception in every documented case of a Mazda reaching 200,000 miles in good mechanical condition. It is not a specific product. It is not a single maintenance item. It is a set, a specific way of relating to the vehicle that every long mileage Mazda owner shares. They treat maintenance as investment, not expense. That distinction sounds simple. The difference in practice is enormous. The expense mindset asks, do I have to do this right now? The investment mindset asks, what is the cost of not doing this and when will I pay it? The expense mindset delays the $60 brake fluid flush because the car stops fine right now. The investment mindset does it on schedule because it knows degraded fluid is quietly reducing the margin between stopping in time and not. The expense mindset skips the $45 spark plugs at 50,000 miles because the car still runs. The investment mindset installs them because combustion precision is not something you wait to lose before you restore. The average cost of maintaining a Mazda proactively across 100,000 miles is approximately $3,000 beyond standard oil changes. The average cost of a single major repair on a neglected Mazda ranges from $1,500 to $5,000 per event. Owners who maintain proactively spend $3,000 to drive 200,000 miles. Owners who maintain reactively spend that same money to reach 100,000 miles with a car already degraded. The 1% of Mazda owners who actually reached that mileage made a decision early in their ownership to treat the car as something worth investing in consistently rather than something to run until it broke. Every trick on this list is available to every Mazda owner in America, starting today. None require a mechanic, none require significant money. All of them require the same thing: the decision to pay attention, do the small things on time, and trust that the engineering Mazda put into that platform rewards exactly that kind of ownership. Your Mazda was built to last a lifetime. The only question is whether you let it. If this changed how you think about your Mazda, click on the next video on your left right now. It covers more habits and tricks that separate the Mazdas that hit 200,000 miles from the ones that do not make it to 100.